Growing up in a household where only my twin sister was doted on, I came to accept it as normal. How wonderful it must be, I thought, to have a close-knit family. The people who say, "We must cherish our family," are likely those who have been cherished themselves. They probably experienced their family's love without question, considering it a given. My situation was different. My family was anything but close, and I don't remember ever being treated as important. To be precise, I was the only one who was treated like an outsider in my family. I'm Martha, a single woman in her 30s. As I mentioned, my family is not close. To be exact, everyone in my family, apart from me, gets along well. From the outside, we look like a happy family. But ever since I was little, I've never had a good time with them. I have a twin sister named Lisa. From our childhood, our parents doted on her. She was beautiful, vivacious, and savvy. They absolutely adored her. Conversely, they neglected me, despite being a twin, because I didn't resemble my sister. I had no standout features and was a bit of a daydreamer. When Lisa wanted to learn ballet, they quickly found a class for her. They spared no expense on ballet shoes, tights, and other gear for her practice. At every recital, they enthusiastically ordered extravagant costumes to make sure Lisa looked the cutest. In contrast, whether I said, "I want to go to swimming school," or "I want to take piano lessons," the reply was always the same. "You don't need any classes. It's a waste of money to let a clumsy kid like you do anything." That was all I ever heard. I still vividly remember the scene of sending off the three of them from our front door as they happily went out to celebrate when Lisa won a ballet contest. Despite all the money they had spent on her ballet lessons, Lisa quit when she said, "I've had enough," as she advanced to high school. Our parents didn't say a word. Their favoritism became glaringly apparent when it came to our college education. When Lisa said she wanted to live alone in the city and attend a private women's university, they were all smiles, saying she didn't need to get a scholarship or a part-time job as they would fully support her financially. However, I was told that it was unthinkable for me to go to college, that I should be grateful that they raised an underachiever like me and should start working after high school. After a lot of negotiating, I was barely allowed to attend a local public university on the condition that I wouldn't rely on my parents for money, would contribute financially to the household, and would take care of the chores. From then on, I struggled juggling studies, a part-time job, and housework. I had a scholarship, so I couldn't afford to fail any subjects. I had to pay for my own living expenses, so I couldn't take time off work. If I didn't do the housework properly, they'd make me drop out of university. I spent every day rushing about, working my fingers to the bone. In contrast, my sister, who occasionally came home, looked just like a typical college student with fashionable clothes and hairstyles, seemingly enjoying her campus life with study and leisure. She always mocked me, who hardly had time to care about my appearance and looked worn out. "You really always look so shabby, don't you? I don't want people to think I'm your twin sister. I can't believe you can go out looking like that. I couldn't live if I were you, let alone go outside. And by the way, the university you go to must be really low level, right? Is there any point in you going to such a school? Isn't it just a waste?" My mom, siding with my sister, also scorned me. "She's right, you know, Martha. You're not the brightest bulb. Going to college will be a waste for you. You're always wandering around in shabby clothes. You're the neighborhood joke. On the other hand, everyone always compliments Lisa, saying what a beautiful daughter we have. It makes me so proud." Since I was young, I was used to this irrational resentment from my family. I didn't have time to care about their petty insults, so I hurried off to my part-time job. And so, the tumultuous 4 years of college passed, and both my sister and I managed to graduate. My family celebrated my sister's graduation with a trip overseas where they bought her a designer handbag. None of it had anything to do with me. I planned to move out after finding a job, but my parents stopped me. "We've raised you till now. As a way to repay us, do the housework, give your paycheck to us. Living alone is a waste of money. We won't allow it." So I ended up staying at home. Fortunately, the company I got hired at was just within a manageable commuting distance, even though it was quite far. My sister began working in a somewhat famous company in the city. She bragged about her company being located in East Village, but I didn't care. Years later, my sister married a colleague from her company and apparently quit her job. There was a wedding, but unsurprisingly, I wasn't invited. My sister's husband, Toby, also looked down on me, considering me inferior. probably influenced by my sister and parents. Martha, you don't resemble Lisa at all. You're so plain. Are you sure you're twins? Feels more like your aunt and niece, attending some unknown college, working at a company no one's heard of. So low level, it's hilarious. My sister just smiled and didn't stop Toby from making these remarks. Thank goodness the grandkids didn't take after Martha. They all look so cute, just like Lisa. My mom gushed while holding one of the grandkids, and everyone around her laughed in amusement. A few more years passed, and my mom suddenly passed away. Was it because of her lazy lifestyle where she hardly moved and left all the household chores to me? My dad and sister were devastated, but to my surprise, I felt nothing. They both berated me. How heartless! You're a demon for not even shedding a tear at a time like this. I was hit in the face with a thrown object, and it was only then that the tears welled up in my eyes. My dad's legs got weaker after my mom's death. He wasn't to the point where he needed to be in a nursing home, but he needed help with the little things in daily life. My days were busy with work, housework, and taking care of my dad. My sister occasionally visited our home, but she only came to ask for pocket money for her kids from Dad. My dad never thanked me. In fact, he complained about everything I did. The bath water was too hot, the food was bland. He always ended with, "Your mom's death is your fault," as he threw something at me. My dad's legs were a bit weak, but apart from that, he was perfectly healthy. He used the money I contributed to the household to go out drinking in the daytime. When that wasn't enough, he demanded more from me. Why is it that he claims his legs hurt at home and makes me do everything, but he's perfectly fine when it's time to go out drinking? Looking back, I should have cut ties with such a family and escaped a long time ago. But back then, I was used to being treated unfairly and being subjected to harsh words since my childhood. It felt normal, as if my senses had been dulled. I never thought of escaping, and I was living with Dad alone. Then one day, my sister called out of the blue. Before I could even say hello, she started ranting. How long are you planning on relying on our parents and staying at home? I am moving in with Dad, so could you please leave right now? I didn't understand what she was saying, so I asked again. Wait a minute, you're moving in with Dad? Does he know about this? Of course he does. Dad also wants to live with us. Seeing his grandkids every day, it's disgusting how you're leeching off Mom's inheritance and living in the house. I won't let you live luxuriously with her inheritance. We are moving there early next week, so you better leave soon. And with that, she hung up abruptly. I was struck. I was stuck at the words Mom's inheritance. Mom's inheritance? What was that about? Anyway, I had to confirm it with Dad. Dad, are you really planning to live with my sister? Upon hearing my question, Dad coldly confirmed, yes. Lisa and her family will take care of me. I can't keep living with someone like you, who can't even do basic house chores properly. Lisa has told me that I don't need to worry about anything and wants me to spend time leisurely surrounded by my grandkids. Don't you think she's such a filial daughter? In contrast to you, you have always been a disappointment. Never getting married. All you do is waste the house's money, and on top of that, you're not even attractive. I'm ashamed to consider you my child. Get out of here. You're a nuisance. I'm severing our parent-child relationship. I found his words odd. What does he mean by wasting the house's money? I had a lot on my mind, but it finally hit me. Since both Dad and my sister are asking me to leave, there's no need for me to hold back anymore. I decided to leave this place proudly. I called my sister. Like you said, Dad also wants to live with you. He said he's cutting ties with me. I will leave by this week. That's very understanding of you. Please don't cause any trouble for us in the end. You're not a part of our family anymore. Right, sorry for all the trouble I've caused so far. By the way, when I move out, I can take my belongings with me, right? Clothes and such? We don't need any of your stuff. I bet they're all cheap anyway. Take everything, but don't touch the house's money or stuff. If you do, I will call the police. Got it. I will only take my things. And I hung up the phone. Well, I gotta move out all my stuff, I said, rolling up my sleeves with gusto. A few days later, while I was still unpacking my belongings in my new home, my phone rang. The moment I answered, my sister's furious voice blared. What the hell? What's going on? What do you mean? What's going on? I held the phone a bit away from my ear as I responded. Still, my sister's voice echoed shrilly. There's nothing left in the house. No furniture, no appliances. Where'd you put everything? Here it comes. I had anticipated it, but the reality was even more dramatic than I had imagined. And I replied to my sister. But sis, didn't you tell me to take all my belongings? Everything here? I bought it with my own money, I said calmly. What? You bought it all with your own money? That's a lie. There's no way someone like you who's working at some low-level company can afford all these electronics. You've
even replaced the furniture since Mom passed away. You've probably used Mom's inheritance, right? Give them back. I'm going to call the police.
I sighed inwardly. As I suspected, my sister was confused. I began to explain to her slowly, so she could understand in her state of excitement. Sis, you've been talking about Mom's inheritance, but Mom didn't leave any inheritance. She was just a normal housewife. How could she possibly have left the kind of money you're expecting? What? I don't understand, my sister shouted back. If anyone was confused, it was me. The Roomba, the drum washing machine, and stuff like that, I bought them because after Mom passed, I got busy caring for Dad and working. These electronics helped me save time. I bought all of them with my own money. I decided to replace everything because most of the old items were on their last legs. And yes, I've been the one covering all the living expenses.
Lies! What about the furniture? Everything in the house is new since Mom died. The dining set, the beds, the sofa, everything.
Of course. I paid for all the furniture as well. I decided to replace them when I received my bonus because they were getting old. I could sense disbelief from the other end of the phone line.
What about the car? The car has been with us for ages.
The car is registered under my name. Always has been.
That's a lie! We quit our jobs, moved here, believing we could live off Mom's inheritance. We spent all our savings. We don't have a car. It's so inconvenient to go shopping. What are you going to do about this?
My sister's rant was giving me a headache. She had wrongfully assumed that the upgraded electronics and furniture were bought with Mom's inheritance. She was under the illusion that I was living a luxurious life with Mom's money, that she too had a right to the inheritance. Her plan seemed to be to kick me out and live luxuriously off the inheritance. I always knew that despite being attractive and shrewd, my sister wasn't exactly bright. But I hadn't realized she was this thoughtless. It's not like I can come back. You're the one who told me to leave and to take all my things with me. I just did as you asked. My sister continued ranting over the phone. I was ready to hang up, but there was one last thing I needed to tell her. By the way, I've been paying Dad's debts till now. You'll have to take care of them from now on.
What? Debt?
She sounded shocked. She probably had no idea about the debt. Our parents had been careful to keep it a secret from her. We weren't a particularly wealthy family, but our parents had kept up appearances, spending lavishly on my sister. Dad's earnings couldn't cover everything, so we had taken on debt. The money went to everything from my sister's ballet lessons in her childhood to her university fees. Decades of overspending, living well beyond our means, has resulted in this mountain of debt. In fact, all of Dad's debts were accumulated from the money he spent on my sister. So if she wants to pay them back, there's no issue, right? You know, didn't my sister say to Dad, don't worry about anything, just relax, surrounded by your grandchildren? I interpreted that as, don't worry about the debts either. I was touched, really. Such a dutiful daughter, I said, feigning innocence. My sister's anger only intensifies at my words.
Don't mock me. And come to think of it, there's no way an employee from some unknown company like you can afford all the latest electronics and new furniture. You're definitely using Mom's inheritance, haven't you?
Do you even know what I do for a living? I asked her, keeping my tone steady.
I have no idea. You're probably just doing some worthless job at a useless company, aren't you?
I work at a foreign-owned financial institution.
What? Foreign-owned? What does that even mean?
My sister is clueless. Both my parents and sister, none of whom are good with foreign languages, belittled me when they found out I was working at a foreign-owned financial institution, a term they had never heard of, despite it being a well-known firm to most Americans. They had the audacity to call me incapable, while they lacked basic knowledge themselves. I attended college with the sole aim of mastering French, my favorite language, and by the time I graduated, I was fluent enough to use it in business. The company I work for values competence. I work hard and earn a decent salary for it. My sister and my parents, neither of them knew or cared to understand. It had always been this way. They thought I was dull and judged by intelligence on that, never caring about my grades, though I had always been a good student since elementary school. But I don't care if they understand now. My sister continues to scream.
Come home and apologize properly. I'll forgive you if you do it now. Where have you even moved to? Give me your address.
Why am I the one who has to apologize? Why should I seek her forgiveness? I've never understood my sister's thinking, and honestly, I never wanted to. There's no need for your forgiveness. I am no longer part of your family, so please don't call me again. Take care of your problems on your own. Goodbye. With that, I ended the call. Up until that very moment I hung up, her enraged voice echoed through the phone. But just like when Mom passed away, my heart remained unmoved. There was no one around to label me heartless, so I couldn't find it in myself to shed tears this time. Despite it all, my heart felt at ease. Several months later, I heard from a friend back home that my sister and her husband quit their jobs to cash in on Mom's inheritance, but when that fell through, they had no money, no car, and no jobs. The result was falling behind on paying back Dad's debts, struggling to make ends meet, and selling the family home. They ended up moving into a nearby apartment with their children and Dad. They couldn't repay all their debt even with the money from selling the house, and their constant financial struggle took a mental toll. Their family relationship suffered within the confines of that small apartment. My brother-in-law, Toby, seemed to resent my sister a lot. He felt tricked into spending all his savings and leaving his job. Their marriage seemed to be hanging by a thread. The silver lining was that their children quickly made friends with the kids in the apartment, and they seemed to be living relatively happily. That must be their only saving grace. I moved closer to work, and I am thoroughly enjoying spending all of my earned money on myself and spending my time on myself too. Life is so comfortable when I only have to worry about my job and my own needs. I leaned back on my new sofa, looking at my hands. My fingertips glistened with a beautiful nail art. After living a stifled life for so long, I plan to enjoy this carefree, solo life for a while longer.